Live from New York, it's the show that has heard Jonathan Kuminga now 7-3. It's First Things First today. We start with Dame's dilemma. Portland at the crossroads of a rebuild. Or a major move to build around Dame, which won't work. Dame spoke to Hoop Type saying, of course people are going to say, you don't have a ring. You see how people talk about Charles Barkley, and he's Charles Barkley. He was a great player. Of course it's at the top of the list for me to win a championship. Okay. Brew, any chance Dame is winning a title in Portland?
No.
Okay.
Nope. I mentioned yesterday if they got Zion Williamson with the third pick, for the third pick, that'd be great, and I'd keep Dame for a year and see how well that goes. But that's second round max probably, maybe conference finals, but definitely I don't think they'd win the West. And so I don't think, number one, they can build a team around him that's good enough to win. Number two, Damian Lillard is an all-time great. We know he made the top 75 team, all that. Not good enough as a smaller player to lead a team to a championship. They're going to have to get either a player that's better than him or right there comparable with him and bigger.
Yeah.
Right? That's what they need. Like I've said it before, Isaiah Thomas of the Pistons and Steph Curry are the only two small players to lead teams to championships. Yep. That's it in the history of basketball. And I don't think Dame's going to do it. The good thing for Dame is he doesn't. We all would like to see him win a championship. It'd be great. He would make a Miami and some other teams better. But Dame is not at that level where it's like, he got to win a championship. Or else, like, that's the MVP level.
So that
Durant, Harden, they have to win championships. Nobody's going to take points away from Dame if he doesn't end up winning the championship. If he does, it's great, and it makes his legacy better. But I don't think anybody's going to rip Damian Lillard if he doesn't win a championship.
Well, here's what, because I think people are getting maybe a little tired of this story. I said yesterday my cup was full on it, or close to full on it. And I don't know if he is going to be moved or not. But I would like to do something here that I feel like for all the time we've talked about Damian Lillard is not done very often, which is remind the audience, this is Portland's fault. We can now be frustrated with Dame, Willie, or won't he, I got places to be. I get that. But Portland has had a decade to build a competent team around an excellent but obviously limited star because of his size. And they have failed. They never found him a number 2 post-Aldridge, and they made these mealy-mouthed moves. I went through them, and I'll just give the audience a quick reminder of it. They traded a first-round pick for Jeremy Grant, who we don't know what his future with the team is. They have nothing to show for trading C.J. McCollum. Nothing left from that. They traded a first-round pick for Larry Nance, then included him in the trade when they got rid of C.J. McCollum, and for a first-round pick for Robert Covington, who plays for the Clippers now. They got in the Hassan Whiteside business with their eyes wide open. They never once said, okay, we have a star who's 6'2", we're going to need to build a team that can handle those natural defensive limitations. So I don't blame Dame for them not winning, and I don't think you blame Dame for them not winning, in part because he's not an all-time great, but also because they haven't put the right team around him. But now Wildes, even though it's not his fault, he is at a position where you can't have both things you want. He claims to want to win a championship and also to never leave the Blazers. Well, those two things are diametrically opposed.
True.
So much like someone who is committed to their family and their career, and they get a job offer across the country, and the spouse says, we're not moving, you then have to make a choice.
But
what am I more committed to?
What if he thinks, which we disagree with, but he thinks he can actually lead them to a championship with
who? Zion?
Zion, or he may not think he needs as much help as we think he needs.
But that's where. But that I would blame.
I think that's fair.
But Wildes, that I would blame him for.
Well, yeah.
Because he's
you
30.
think he's sitting there saying, "Man, I need Kevin Durant to win a championship"?
I didn't say Kevin Durant, but Brew. I think Dame has a high basketball IQ. I think Dame is a savvy, sharp guy. He's 33 years old. If he thinks the Blazers are a tweak away or a minor move away.
Well, a big move with the number 3.
Then, okay, even that, trading the number 3 pick for Zion away from winning a title, then I think that I would blame him for, because
what
that
else
shows
should it be?
That
he really doesn't want to win?
That of the two things he wants, that he wants to win and he wants to stay in Portland and be the man and have a career with one team, that weighs heavier than the winning, which is his prerogative. Sure. But Wildes, like, he's got you. I mean, you made the point. You didn't like Dame's quote when we first saw it, because you thought it was unrealistic.
I said on the call this morning, I said it's like wanting to win a windsurfing competition and live in New York. Like, at some point, you either got to move to Aruba or stay, but you can't have both. So here's where the Blazers are last season. They were 26th on the record. Their offensive rating was 18th, and their defensive rating, Brew, was 28th. If he thinks he's one player away, I think he's very wrong. And I'll use the LeBron example. When LeBron went back to Cleveland, he said, okay, I'm LeBron. I'm really good. Kyrie, you're really good, and we've got the number one pick. I don't want the number one pick.
Right.
I need another star. So go get Kevin Love, send Andrew Wiggins to Minnesota, and now we can win a championship. Dame has 1/3 of the puzzle. He's like, well, if I get Zion, I'm like, okay, but you're still a third away. You're still your Kevin Love player away.
I agree, but I think part of what's enabled Damian Lillard at 6'2" from Weber State to become an all-time great
I've seen
is
him at
thinking,
commercials.
I can do that's it, right? He thinks his expectations of himself are higher than ours, and that's what's enabled him to become such a great player.
Here's the thing. I don't think, though, that I don't think this is Dame being delusional. I think
it's
him
lying.
I think if Damian Lillard doesn't force his way out of Portland, it's not because he's now convinced they can win a title. It's because he's making a choice. That being the man in this city and being relatively close to home, you know what I mean, in Northern California, as far as what other places you could go on the East Coast, and having one career with one team, all of that is the most important thing. And I'm going to try to climb this mountain as high as I can get it. And climbing it without, by myself, I
don't have a problem. And I said Iverson, Russell Westbrook, they had the same mentality. They were like, look, of course I want to win, and I'm going to give all my all to win. But I want to win here. This is my team. And if I can't do it at the end of my career, I'm fine with that. I don't mind that attitude at all.
That's what, I'm telling you, what I'm saying is if Dame doesn't force his way out, that's his attitude. It's not, I'm not doing it because I think we're going to win a title here. He's not dumb. He knows too much about basketball. And even if he thinks he's the top 3 player in the league, he can believe that and still also know they can't win a title. The thing you were saying, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, he also has the luxury of not having to win. LeBron James didn't have this luxury. Kevin Durant did not have this luxury of, like, if Kevin Durant finishes his career without a ring, everybody is crushing him.
Yes.
Dame's not going to be that guy because he's not on that level that KD is.
Okay, go.
I just want to, before we move on, just quickly, and we've said this before, but I think it warrants repeating today with the news that Michael Jordan's final move with the Washington Wizards is going to be passing on Scoot Henderson for Brandon Miller. Vegas thinks Brandon Miller's lock, stock, number 2. If you're Portland and all of a sudden Scoot, who's also 6'2", and it's like, hold on a second. We have Shaedon Sharpe, Bruce guy who you like. We could have Scoot, who a lot of people believe would be the number 1 pick in a lot of drafts, and somehow he's going to fall to us at 3. And then potentially a bounty for what we trade Dame for. That is a supercharged rebuild with a team that makes sense.
Agree.
It is in Portland's best interest, if it's true, that Jordan's going to take Brandon Miller to drafts, because you can't play Scoot and Dame together. You can't have 2 6'2" guards. That's
and
not
they
going to.
got Anthony Simons too.
Exactly, is the 3 small. And
but isn't that why Jordan is? I know we don't want to turn it into a draft conversation, but he doesn't think that Scoot and LaMelo.
I
understand that.
But one of them could be a trade asset.
Yeah, exactly. You can trade LaMelo. If Scoot's as good as I believe he is, I think he has to go number 2. But set that aside. If you're Portland, do you think Portland's front office wants Dame to ask for a trade? Because I do.
If that's true, then man up. Man up, sit down with your superstar and say, look, Dame, we love you. We love your loyalty. You have been, they would say, maybe the best Blazer ever. I would probably say Clyde Drexler.
Yeah.
A lot of people would say Dame.
It's Clyde.
Give him his respect. But it's like, for you and for us, it's better if we split ways. You're not winning a championship here, and we're going to be in this mediocre middle ground as long as you're here because we don't have the pieces around you.
Yeah.
We'll go young, and you go to Boston or wherever we send you, and you can win a championship.
Yeah, I like that. I do feel odd because it feels somewhat selfish as a basketball fan.
It is.
Watching Jimmy rise to the occasion and be like, man, that could be Dame too. Maybe on the same team. But to watch Dame in the playoffs is something we haven't seen enough of.
Right. Terry Cummings pretty good too.
Terry Cummings?
Terry Cummings pretty good. No, not
in the
Dame.
Dame.
This guy a good player. This is a pretty good player.
He was nice, but
All right,
Bill
head out to LA,
MVP.
where
Better
I
with
thought
Milwaukee.
the Clippers were adding Chris Paul, but it turns out Mark Stein reporting they were thinking about breaking up Paul George. Front office is, quote, giving real consideration to the idea of disassembling the Kawhi Leonard-Paul George tandem. Well, here's their track record. Speaking of things we haven't seen a lot of, these two play together.
jeez.
41% is the literal bottom line there.
Yeah.
So, Nick, is this the right move to split up Kawhi and Paul George?
It's time to end the most overhyped, without any production, duo in modern NBA history. Like, what was your favorite moment of this Clippers era? I know what mine was. It was really Bru's star turn involving First Things First. Bru had been a star on many outlets, but he had never had a moment on First Things First until Bru's Clippers. That was my favorite. Bru's Clippers during the bubble
Y'all
season.
kind of backed the brother into that corner, too. I say I like the Clippers one day on the show. Next thing you know, I'm the Clipper guy.
Team. But okay, if it's not Bru's Clips, and it's not the billboards, and they're like, hey, you can have backpacks because we're going to take the team from the Lakers. That was fun. And the New Balance commercials, was it the most, I think maybe the most embarrassing 3-1 blown lead ever because of the way they did it. Just blowing 20-some point leads and then getting blown out. The Game 7 being laughable. Was that it?
That was definitely, I'd say, the low point.
Or was the low point when your star player who holds all the strings like a marionette for your entire organization is like, yeah, I'm going to live in San Diego, and I don't know when I will or not be there. Or was it when our colleague Skip Bayless knew more about Kawhi's injuries than the Clippers did? I don't know what it was, but I know none of it was good. So, yeah, when you still owe your next 3 years of draft picks to Oklahoma City, you probably need to admit it's not happening and start the rebuild before that new stadium opens so your fans have something to look forward to. That's what I would say.
That was cute and energetic.
I
liked it. You've been waiting a long time for that, and you deserve it. You deserve it. However, no.
There we go. I know what
you made your bed. Look, because it has been an abysmal failure. But why?
Because they're hurt.
Yes.
But, Bru, don't say if they get healthy, give them one more year. Don't say it.
No. My point is, who you getting for Paul George, who hasn't played 60 games in 4 years and is 33 years old? Who you getting for Kawhi Leonard, who is always injured, right? Who had low management this year and then gets hurt in the second or third game of the playoffs? Yeah. You're not getting the guys. They've got 1 year, well, 2, if you include their player options, left on your deal. All right? So I say it's just too late. You made your bed. You got to lie in it at least 1 more year.
1 more year?
Yes. So play the guys. See what happens.
I'll tell you what's going to happen. Disappointment.
That's fine. Let's see. They had one chance, much like the Nets that you two like to mock. They had one chance, and they blew it because they were up 3-1 on Denver. Mm-hmm. But that was their only chance in these 4 years to do anything. Give it one more shot. Okay. And here's the deal.
Yeah.
Most likely, they'll both opt out of their deal after next season, trying to get right. So, maybe not if they're smart.
I don't know if Kawhi
might not. Yeah. But we'll see. If they opt out, let them walk, get you some cap room, and you're going into the new arena in Inglewood that year. So do that. If not, see what happens this year.
I think
because they can't, like you said, I mean, look, they were irrelevant for basically 2 decades.
That's right.
Made the playoffs only twice in 18 years.
Yeah, but they
don't want to go back.
Hold
to
on
that.
a second, though. But that wasn't the era that preceded this. The era that preceded this was the
Lob
most
City.
successful Clippers era ever.
But even
And then-
that wasn't great.
No,
At least this
no, it was
group
better than this.
No, it wasn't. This group got to a conference final.
I would argue the Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan era, the totality
Well, it didn't
of it
go
was
further.
better.
It was
You're
more.
right. They
That
didn't-
was as disappointing as this.
That was
Because you hired Doc Rivers, you're thinking we're gonna win a championship.
fair enough. I think it was. You're a Clippers fan. You look more fondly upon
Well,
that
because they
era.
had they played.
They
for the
played.
most part.
Well, yeah, they
I
played.
get it, but they also had. Look, if they're, and I know it's a big if they're healthy.
Oh my God! You got to stop with it.
I'm gonna save it.
Give them one more year.
Because they own somebody in the NBA.
That's true.
They own somebody
That's
in
true.
the NBA.
Okay.
They own LA.
What-
They're
you
24
got-
and
They
14
own
when
the
they play
Lakers.
together.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
matters.
It doesn't
Okay.
matter.
Okay.
Brew. You don't know.
And I got more coming in the next segment on this.
On the Clippers? We're talking
In the Lakers
Clippers.
segment, he's saying the Lakers.
We got a whole LA segment up in here.
We're doing that. That's not even next.
No, he's
We're
saving
talking
it.
about Wemby next.
He's
First of
saving
all,
it.
Well,
second
in the
of all,
seed.
In the seed.
Okay.
I'm not going.
Can I just because
Use
they
it
don't
all.
own their draft picks, they can't. The whole do it another year and then it's on the board. Kawhi and Paul George could walk for nothing. You get nothing. You are forced to bottom out with no way to recoup the picks. And if you're terrible, you get no benefit from it because the Thunder get your picks. You've got to
They had 2 decades of lottery picks and did nothing with them.
Well, Elgin
and I know it
wasn't
was a
great
different
general
regime,
manager.
but
Yeah.
just having lottery picks doesn't mean you're going to make the most out of them.
But having no picks means you can't.
Well, you got to get these. Maybe they need a new medical staff. How about that?
Oh my gosh!
that.
How about that?
Are you bringing Chris Paul back?
Russell Westbrook back? You mean?
Yeah.
Or-
I would
Oh,
bring
I
not
bring
both.
Chris Paul.
I wouldn't bring both. One or the other. I'd love to
I
have.
like them both.
Really?
Yeah, because
You think Russ is going to like that? I know they're
Russ
good
is going to
friends,
play
but-
75 games and have a lot of opportunity while people are hurt. And then Chris Paul is like good karma.
And then come playoffs, Chris will start and Russell sit. That'll be good.
What?
You think
Guys,
that'll
they're a
fly?
I
great
think it's
team.
good vibes to have Chris Paul back in the Clippers uniform.
Okay.
Lob City again?
Guys, you guys, they're
Lob
coached. We're
City.
talking about their title.
Who's
leaving.
jumping
He's under
for the
contract.
lobs?
He knows.
Kawhi can barely
Kawhi.
jog.
Wemby next on FS1 and the Fox Sports Channel on Sirius XM.
How does Brew end with Kawhi can barely jog after the impassioned
Well, the
Clippers
way it
defense?
looked at the end of the season, he'll get healthy.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.